واتبعوا ما تتلو الشياطين على ملك سليمان وما كفر سليمان ولكن الشياطين كفروا يعلمون الناس السحر وما أنزل على الملكين ببابل هاروت وماروت وما يعلمان من أحد حتى يقولا إنما نحن فتنة فلا تكفر فيتعلمون منهما ما يفرقون به بين المرء وزوجه وما هم بضارين به من أحد إلا بإذن الله ويتعلمون ما يضرهم ولا ينفعهم ولقد علموا لمن اشتراه ما له في الآخرة من خلاق ولبئس ما شروا به أنفسهم لو كانوا يعلمون صدق الله العظيم. Ayat number 102 of Surat al-Baqarah. This ayah, the rabat and connection of this ayah with the previous ayat is very clear. The bayan and the discussion of the Bani Israel is going on. The Ahli Kitab, the people of the book, specifically the Jews, the Bani Israel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in this ayah, we'll try to go over some portion of this ayah at a time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in this ayah, وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينُ عَلَى مُلْكِ سُلَيْمَانَ, that the Ahli Kitab and a group from the Ahli Kitab and a group from the Utul Kitab. We have already gone over the details of the Utul Kitab. That there is a group amongst the Ahli Kitab that they are righteous and they follow the teachings of their deen. But a group from amongst them also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in this ayah, وَاتَّبَعُوا, that they follow or they adopt مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينَ, whatever the shayateen were reciting, عَلَى مُلْكِ سُلَيْمَانَ, during the time of the kingdom of Sulaiman alayhi salam. وَمَا كَفَرَ سُلَيْمَانَ, it should be made very clear that Sulaiman alayhi salam, he never did any kufr. He was a Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He never disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way. He never committed any sin. وَلَكِنَّ الشَّيَاطِينَ كَفَرُوا, but these shayateen, these devils, they did kufr. يُعَلِّمُونَ النَّاسَ السِّحْرَ, they disbelieved by teaching people sihr or magic. There are many details that need to be discussed, and we'll try our best to cover whatever portion we can. The Quran, subhanallah, one thing about the Quran is that when you start with one ayah, it can take a very long time and you still may not finish. We'll try to go into some basic understanding of what is sihr. This is not a magic school, nor is this any gathering related to magic or sihr, but there are things in our lives as human beings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created that affect us in our lives. So we'll talk about some of these things in relation to how sihr works and how we can protect ourselves from sihr. They mention magic. It should be understood that this kingdom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has created, this universe, He has created certain laws that work within this universe. And many of these laws that He has created, in our day-to-day lives, we witness them, we see them in effect. Sometimes we become so accustomed to the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that often at time we almost become oblivious to it. It just becomes our day-to-day lives. So in our subconscious mind, we know something is going on, but we don't really register that these are also laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When it comes to cause and effect, there are trigger points in this universe. There are certain things in this universal domain, in this kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that when they are triggered or they happen, they have an effect. And this is most profound in the lives of us human beings, but it is also there in the universe. If we go about, we understand the impact that light has on darkness. You understand even a small glimmer of light can remove darkness to some degree. The brighter the light, the less darkness you have, to a point where you have almost no darkness in many places. The same applies to the system of temperature. What is amazing about the weather is that it affects us, but not just us, even the animals and the creatures. And this is something you can take as universal laws. They work everywhere. You even take the creatures in the world, how the temperature affects us or affects them. Many of them, they even migrate, they move from one area to another area in various seasons. But as human beings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us also susceptible to the weather. In the time of summer, we have different clothing. In time of winter, we have different clothing. And also, our clothing also changes based on conditions. The clothing of military that deal with war is very different than the common people. So these are certain things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created as universal laws. One of the most powerful systems that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created is the system of sound. And the sound, it travels in waves. So the system of waves, how waves work, and wavelengths, they're a very amazing system. Various waves can affect matter. Sound, and not just sound, just take waves. And there are many brothers who are in the field of telecommunications. You can sit with them sometime and they'll explain to you how these waves work. Some of these can penetrate buildings and go through walls. That's how our phone signals are working still. But many of these waves and these signals, some of them on a very low frequency, some of them on a high frequency, some of them on various wavelengths. If you take them all the way down and you break them down, you realize this is some kind of sound also. And you break them all the way down, these waves, they have various impacts, they have various implications, and they have various effects. Some of these effects are very subtle, depending on the wavelength that is being used. And they have very minimal effect. And some of them on a greater effect, they have very profound impact, depending on where they are located and the area that they hit or how powerful the wave is. The minor small wavelengths we have phone signals, radio signals, Wi-Fi signals. These are on a very low frequency, they're there. Yes, now they're finding there are some harmful effects to us human beings, especially those that use the phone too much or keep it around the head area. There are various kind of sicknesses that can affect the mind and the brain. And they have these kind of impact and effect that these waves have. The same applies to our sound waves. When the phone rings or the phone even vibrates, these are also kinds of waves. Sometimes we think they're nothing, but they have effect. Depending on where you put the phone and it vibrates, it can also affect you. I remember we were in one masjid and the brother, he got up and started calling adhan. And in the middle of his adhan, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, he literally just froze. And his voice almost cut off and he started shaking. we helped him and moved him, and one other brother came and finished the adhan, and we asked him what happened. And he reached into his pocket and he was shaking and he pulled out his phone. He had his phone where his heart is, and the phone, somebody called him and his phone it was on vibration. His phone started vibrating where the heart was, and it affected his sound. He was calling the adhan, it completely cut his voice off. Don't experiment. Don't say, let me see if this works, it happens to me too. No. I'm just sharing with you that these waves have effect. Okay? Now, depending on the strength of the wave, that is a kind of effect that you can expect. One of the profound things that we're very familiar with, one of the most powerful things we're familiar with is earthquakes. And in reality, for those who know how earthquakes work, the tectonic plates in the core of the earth, they move, or it creates a wave. That wave, that shock wave, vibrates through the earth, and we get this shaking. Depending on how powerful the move was, that is what kind of impact it will have on land. Sometimes it can trigger tsunamis, sometimes many buildings fall, sometimes the wave can be felt hundreds of miles away. Depending on how powerful the wave is and how deep the break was that triggered those waves, you can have that kind of an impact and have that far of an impact. They were also experimenting many years back with, this is also something that has been since the 1900s, early 1900s, there was experimentation on the effect of waves in the atmosphere. And they built various kind of devices to check the wavelengths, if it had effect on the various layers that we have. You have various waves, these skies, we call them sama, 7 skies on this earth. And then they have names for them also. If you open the science books, they'll tell you stratosphere and troposphere and synatosphere and all these various spheres, whatever they have, the ozone layer. So they have these various 7 skies, and they were able to shoot waves. They understood the effect that radio waves had. People had radio waves even back then, or the TV waves. But they were able to amplify that specific wave and shoot it up to a specific sky in the 3rd or 4th level sky. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran, وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الرَّجْعِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran that I swear by the sky and the quality that it has, that it returns everything. So whatever goes up, it also comes down. This is how we make our phone call, and it goes, and it reaches its destination, and it goes into the phone, comes down to the phone that you're calling the person with, and so on. All these waves, the ways that they work. So they were able to shoot these waves into the sky, and they came down. Of course, these were amplified. These were in the gigawatts and moving into the billion gigawatts, whatever they were using. They had massive antennas, and they were able to shoot these waves into the sky. And the experimentation was originally started by a scientist who was also kind of a crazy inventor scientist. He was one of those, the whole idea of mad scientist came, that he went to Alaska and he saw the aurora borealis, he saw the northern lights. And he was so fascinated by the northern lights that he wanted the whole world to see them. He said, they're so beautiful, I want the whole world to see the aurora borealis, or the northern lights. So he came up with experimentation to make a certain wave in the sky so that people may be able to see these beautiful lights. But through experimentation, he also found out that many of these lights, these waves that he was using, can also affect weather. And it can affect weather in a very unique way. It can move clouds in a particular way, or move clouds away from a particular area. And they started experimentation with it in the early 1900s. By 1930, they were having these massive antennas, and the research had reached such a level that the world nations came together and they signed a pact that they would not use weather manipulation as a means of weapon against each other. This pact is still there from the 1930s. That they would not use weather manipulation as warfare. How many nations actually abide by that? Allahu A'lam. I mean, the way the world is going with all these strange phenomena happening, floods in various areas and strange weather anomalies, Allahu A'lam how many are actually following, but they had this pact that was there. And they had these massive antennas, and they had a project known as the HARP project, Hyperactive Aurora Research Project. And they were using these waves. But one thing that it had, not only did it affect the weather, but when these waves would come back and hit the earth, it would cause earthquakes. And one of the first earthquakes it caused was 4.0 magnitude earthquake. It was pretty powerful. But that was, again, 1930s. Where the technology must be today, Allahu A'lam. But many nations were involved in these kind of projects. They still have that project. And this is how when we read the ahadith about the power of Dajjal, that he will affect weather and he will control weather. So this will also be the kind of power that he'll have. It's not something that it'll be a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's side, yes, but on the side that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will use these systems that we have now, the effect of weather. But these waves that we speak about, these are also sound waves that we human beings use. And that is why sound has a profound impact on us human beings. And again, moving away just from waves, coming to sound itself. Sound is one of the things that we human beings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, that we're able to not only communicate with one another, we're able to influence and affect one another also. Different sounds, different voices have a different impact on us. If you hear a person shouting for help, even the person is not even saying help, help, but they're just shouting. Just from their shout you can tell what's going on. And it's amazing, mothers can tell when their baby is crying what the baby needs, If the baby is hungry or the baby needs cleaning or whatever, the mother can just tell. The mother can even tell from the cry of the baby if the baby is in pain or it has a stomach ache. Ajib. And we men, we're like, yeah, right, how do you know? We try to apply our own logic, but mothers know. How they know? They can tell from the sound. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created that system with them. But the sound has a very profound impact. And they even use these sounds in music. And again, this is a very touchy topic. People get into what is there music halal or haram, and is there a halal music, is there haram music? What is clear is that the music of today, and all the music of today, even the Christians, those that are religious Christians and religious Hindus, and even the religious amongst the Jews and those that are religious, they don't let their children listen to the music of today. So how can someone say that the music of today is halal? I mean, if the other religious communities are not letting their children listen to the filthy music of today, what makes you think that Islam would allow it or Islam would make it halal? Just to leave the fatwa to the muftis, go and ask a mufti about the fatwa of if there is halal music. But the reality is that even the other communities do not allow their children to listen to the filth of today. We should be very careful. But there is, and again, I am not in any way educated about music, but there are some sounds within the musical world that they are used in a particular way. And the reason I'm explaining all of this is because when you understand how sihr works, you have to first and foremost understand how these sounds work. There are particular musical notes that have a profound impact on the emotions of a human being. Some notes or some sounds, I don't know what they call them, but the tunes or whatever they call them, they're used to trigger particular emotions. Some of them are used to trigger your shahwa, your desire. Some of them are used to trigger a particular emotion inside you. That is why certain groups of people are attracted to particular types of music. Because that type of music or those sounds or tunes or whatever they call them, they trigger particular emotions that those group of people like. Some of them trigger depression and stress, make a person stressed. And there's a group of people that like being in that state. There are other groups of people that like to have their desires triggered. So they have certain music that trigger those kind of emotions. There are other types of music that make a person mellow and calm and even calm down. There are particular music tunes that can even slow down a person's heart. In fact, someone showed me one particular type of song where it was illegal in many states to listen to that song while you're driving. I don't know the name of the song, don't ask me, go research it. But if you listen to that song while you're driving, it's supposed to slow down your heart rate so much it can make you fall asleep. Ajib. So this is the kind of impact the sound has. Very profound impact. So as human beings, we're affected by sounds, we're affected by waves. This is also the impact that the Quran has. Quran has a very amazing impact. And the most beautiful impact of the Quran is that it puts a person in a state of sakina and tranquility. And in the Quran also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. We reveal this Quran. In this Quran is shifa, is a cure. The ayat of the Quran, when they're recited, and they're recited with qira'ah, meaning the rules of tajweed are applied. They're recited properly. And again, they're recited, not, person is whispering to himself. Recitation is done properly. There have been numerous cases of even people who are sick that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has cured them. There were some people that were in coma, they were supposed to be brain dead, and there was no chance of them ever coming out of that state. And when people started playing the Quran in that area where the person was, eventually the person woke up. And it's not just Muslims who found this. It's not just us Muslims that were using this. And this is back in Pakistan, in India, in the subcontinent, in that area. Some of the Hindus also caught on. So in those areas where the people are in a coma, they play the Quran. But they don't accept Islam. Allahu Akbar. They'll play the Quran to get the people cured, but they won't accept Islam. Allahu Akbar. Anyhow, but even they know that this has some kind of... When medical science fails, then they start playing the Quran. They say, okay, this person is... There's no other way that we can think of how this person can get cured, so they start playing the Quran. We encourage you that if the doctor has given you medication, please continue your medications and follow medical advice. I'm not telling you to give up medical advice, okay? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us also to take medication. I'm just telling you the profound impact the Quran has. We should also add the Quran to whatever medication that we're doing. Listen to the Quran. It has profound impact on our lives. It is the effect that sound has. It has been known to affect the human being. Now, when you speak about sound itself, or waves, you speak about waves, one of the things is that particular words also have a particular impact on us human beings. And this has a very profound impact on the psychology when it comes to words. There is a group of people that have particularly specialized in the use of words. Remember, words have very profound impact. There is a particular field known as NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And there are particular mentalists, they call themselves mentalists, who particularly study how words affect a person. And they can tell you that just by meeting a person and talking to a person for a few minutes, they can tell you that this person in a particular time of his life, he went through a particular type of situation and somebody discouraged him or somebody used negative words on him, and this is why this person has such, for lack of better words, such bad luck. And not only that, even people who have very, very good, good lives and are even experts in their field, these mentalists have been known to affect them. There is one, and there are many, they specialize in words, the effect that words have. And this is something even in the deen of Islam that we're told, when you read the ad'iyah, how powerful dua is. Check the words of the ad'iyah, what words are used in the Quran, what words are used in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When it comes to dua, you'd be amazed how powerful those words are. And again, the acceptance of dua comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it has a profound impact on the psychology also. But one of these mentalists, he's quite famous, Darren Brown, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is his name. But he's been known to affect people in various ways. And some of these are very, very strange how he does it. It's not even, there are experiments that anyone can do. But there's something that can show you how profound words can be. He went to one of these circus, and I remember this very clearly because something like this happens to all of us. So he went to one circus, where people do all these crazy acrobatics, and there was one who was a trapeze artist, those people who do on the swings, and they walk their tight rope. They walk on a rope. Subhanallah, we can't even stand on a rope. And then they walk, from one side to the other side. I don't know how many feet or how many yards they go. So this person, there was one artist who for 11 years or 13 years or very long, how many years, he had been walking the tightrope and he never fell. He has been famous for having the best balance. So he went to this person and they were standing in the circus, and he told the person that, you walk the tightrope. He said, yeah, I've done it for my whole life. We do it I don't know how many times every day. You do something so much, we human beings, mashallah. You do something so repetitive, so it becomes almost second nature, It's like driving. You don't even think about, sometimes you forget, did I even turn the car on? How did I get here? You just do it so much, you don't even pay attention to it. So this person was so skilled in walking the tightrope. So the Darren Brown told him, the mentalist told him, okay, go walk on the tightrope, show me. So this person went up there and walked across and came back. And the Darren Brown said, I bet you that I can make you fall. The trapeze artist said, come on now. Many people have bet and they've lost money, I never fall. He said, no, I'm not going to do anything. He said, no, don't worry, people have shouted at me, people have thrown things at me. Darren Brown said, I'm not going to do any of that. But I can make you fall. The trapeze artist was like, come on now. Okay, I'll put money down. And Darren Brown said, okay, no problem. So he looked at the person and he told him, he said, okay, you ready? Tell me when you're ready. The trapeze artist said, I'm ready. He said, okay, he shook his hand and particularly touched him in one part of the hand. And he said, remember, don't fall. So the person went up, hardly halfway he fell. He said, how? Darren Brown said, no problem, try again. And again he shook his hand, hit him in a particular way and told him, don't fall. The person went up again he fell. The guy said, I don't know what magic you did to me. He said, I'm just showing you that don't get too cocky, don't get too excited. I only told you don't fall. I didn't tell you anything else. But the way he had hit him and the way he made him believe those words, don't fall. So now this person in the back he explained it. Darren Brown said, what I did was I told him don't fall. But I made him believe it. Like I told him in a confidence. When you want to tell someone something in confidence, you shake their hand, you really. He said, I told him in confidence, don't fall. So that fear got stuck in his mind, that I'm going to fall. This is how profound words can be. And so be very, very careful what words you use with your children. Be very, very careful what words you use with your colleagues. Be very, very careful what words you use with your employees. These words can have profound impact. I'm just sharing with you one story. There are many, many stories like this. I remember there was one of the Hufaz came to us and he used to brag about how strong his Quran was, And, he told us, so one of the shuyukh told him, okay, mashallah, read. So he was reading Juz Amma. And he was reading, and when he got to the last 10 surahs, mashallah, he didn't make any mistake. The Shaykh just told him, he said, mashallah, you read the whole Juz, just don't make mistake on these easy surahs, So don't make a mistake. He made a mistake on Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad. So that got stuck in the back. Don't experiment on people. I'm just sharing with you that this is how profound words can be. And sometimes you don't even realize it. But you start to develop that fear, I shouldn't make a mistake in these surahs. I did so well up until now. I should not make a mistake now. And that fear in the back of the mind just completely affects everything. So this is how much impact words can have. And when you put them into tilawat, and again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in this ayah 102, مَا تَتْلُ الشَّيَاطِينَ, whatever the shayateen were doing tilawat of, whatever they were reciting. We're going to inshallah speak about tilawah, inshallah, as we go along. There are many, many details we'll try to cover, so when we talk about this ayah or we get to the ayah, then inshallah we'll be able to get a broader picture about how sihr works and how to also protect oneself from sihr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us understanding and give us the tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. For anyone that does the trapeze artist, don't worry, inshallah he won't fall. And for anybody that recites the Quran, don't think of mistakes. Inshallah he won't make mistakes, okay? I'm just sharing with you that it does have this impact. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزين أخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من النار بالقرآن وادخلنا في الجنة بالقرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا وفي القبر مونسا وعلى الصراط نورا وفي الجنة رفيقا ومن النار سترا وحجابا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.